Hey everyone, it's me, and wait, hold on a minute, the camera's facing the wrong way. Alright, there we go. Hey everyone, it's me. Earlier this year I decided, since COVID is still pretty much a bitch at this point, that I want to stock up on some games that I played as a kid but had to sell, to buy new games of course, and that I straight up missed out on. So, part of these games are some of the greatest RPG games to ever exist. And now that I finally am an owner of these games and I can finally play them, I want to play them, I want to review them, and I want to talk about how they started, how they ended, and how they still hold up today. So, let's get into it. I will start right now with this beaut right here. And it is called Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. In 1996, Nintendo and Square published a game called Super Mario RPG. As the title of the game suggests, it was a Mario role-playing game. The very first, to be exact. The game was pretty well received, although sales could have been a bit better back then, but sadly the collaboration between Nintendo and Square fell apart before they could make a second game. However, this game was not forgotten. Even though the relationship didn't continue for a sequel, the game to this day has a loyal fan base, and there are still people to this day that are pissed that this character who exclusively appeared in this game has not received a character representation in Smash Bros. But this game, in a way, is the godmother. This game, in a way, is the godparent of all Super Mario role-playing games. Nintendo has released other role-playing games afterwards. The Paper Mario series was created without any help from Square, and at least the first two games were well received. But when the former president of Square left the company, he decided to create a new one. And that one was focused specifically on making role-playing games. That company is what we knew as Alpha Dream. Alpha Dream has created games before that were exclusive to Japan, but when they struck a deal with Nintendo in 2003, they have released somewhat a spiritual successor to Super Mario RPG. That game was called Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. And this game marked the beginning of the Mario and Luigi series. I wanted to play the games I missed out on for a long time, and in the beginning of this year I bought them all. I actually bought a lot more games that I missed out on, but that's beside the point. I did want to make a video on Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, but then I thought that if I want to replay all the games anyway, why not make videos about all the Mario and Luigi games? And that is what I'm doing right now. So let's get right into my first ever experience playing Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. It all starts with the visit from the Bean Kingdom from the witch Cacletta and her underling Popple. The Bean Kingdom is a neighbor kingdom to the Mushroom Kingdom. But as to be expected, that visit results in a disaster as the visitors decide to rob the princess of her voice. It is at this point that the game makes a clear distinguishment to the other Mario games, because Bowser is not your enemy in this game. He is working with you to recover Princess Peach's voice. Mario, Luigi and Bowser then make their way to the Bean Kingdom, but on the way Popple crashes Bowser's ship and you instead are stranded in the Bean Kingdom now. Alright, the game has potential so far, and I will now eat my donut. Well, this is saving. This is a beautiful donut, by the way. I'm gonna make a picture of it and put it in the video because it's this good looking. The crash site serves as a sort of tutorial to the game. The enemies are weak and a pair that feels like the Mario Bros from Wish tell you how things work. You even get your first pro attack in this area. Pro attacks are when you use your turn for Mario and Luigi to attack together to deal massive damage. The game also shows you the first Terra moves. I do not know if they have an actual name, so that's what I'm going to call them. They allow you to pass obstacles on the overworld, like for example high cliffs or long jumps. The tutorial area serves also as an introduction into the Bean Kingdom itself. At first, the guy keeping Bowser captive after the crash demands 100 coins and then does not free him as promised, but the Wish Bros were also there to support you and show you how to get things done in this kingdom, so not everything is against you. After Bowser gets freed, you do not see him for a while, but you can advance into the first village. Speaking to the villagers, you learn a lot about the kingdom and the mountain you are on. We are tasked with investigating why the prince of this kingdom has yet to return from his travel to this mountain. We find out that Popple and Cacletta have imprisoned him on the mountain. After freeing him, he introduces us to himself and invites us to the castle. Of course, I don't follow orders, I decided to explore the surroundings first because I want to see everything this game has to offer. But when I finally went to the castle, I arrived right on time for terrorism. Cacletta attacked the castle, something we already found out earlier, for some reason. I need to be there from the other side. And we were tasked with proving that we are the Mario Bros before we were allowed to actually meet the Queen. And of course the plumbers were tasked with fixing the plumbing system before they would be taken seriously. But oh no, it was all a fraud. Cacletta disguised herself as the Queen's assistant to have us fix the plumbing system, because apparently that is how you deactivate the security system for the Bean Star. Makes you wonder where all the town's shit went all this time. Of course, since this is the Bean Kingdom, they don't have a Power Star like in the Mushroom Kingdom, they have a Bean Star instead. The Bean Star is an all-powerful entity that can be used to fulfill any wish that the owner has. After trying to stop them from taking the Bean Star, we gotta fight the Queen of this kingdom. Queen Bean. She was poisoned and now is under the control of Cacletta. After we fight her in a battle, it's decided that saving the Queen takes priority. In order to do that, we have to collect the Chocola Cola in the Chucklehuck Woods. Just think, this kingdom has a legendary cola that can cure poisoning. After we do that, we are beaten to it by a thief called Popple and his sidekick. But oh no, this is where Bowser has gone. Due to his accident, he seemingly lost his memory and now he is the apprentice of this thief. And he's called... well, he doesn't exactly have a name, but Popple just calls him Rookie. But it doesn't take a lot of brain cells to figure out that this is Bowser. Even he himself feels like he knows us. He even relearns his fire breath when fighting us, due to fighting us specifically. Anyway, it's not a hard boss fight and they have easily been defeated. Then they flee due to plot purposes. When continuing to traverse the mansion, we find the owners. Two French brothers, for which I tried my best to do a French accent when reading their dialogue. I am C. Maître of C. Chateau. That is me. Don't blame me, it's been at least 7 years since I was able to properly speak French. They teach us a new terrain move, which are the drill and becoming smaller. The only thing I really pulled from those two things was the ability to finally harvest beans, even though I never really made use of them in the game. The way to Chocola Reserve isn't that long anymore, but before we finally get there, we have to pass some old trees test. We do that and the bad guys reveal that they have done the smartest thing that I've ever seen any bad guy do. They hid off screen and waited until we complete the puzzle for them, because I guess they're incompetent or something. Cause for real, this was really easy, how the fuck were they not able to solve that? After getting to the Chocola Reserve ourselves, we see that apparently this old dude managed to capture Popple and memory loss Bowser himself and tie them up. You're recording for YouTube as well, can I greet my mom? You can greet your mom? Of course you can. As anyone could have guessed, this 1000-year-old bean wasn't the one who defeated Popple. It was the Chocola Reserve itself. It was not only made bubbly and tasty with the jokes, but also strong. But not too strong. I'd put it a little above Popple and Memory Loss Bowser, and was more so a good way to learn the new pro attacks I learned from the French brothers. I'm also super glad they didn't make me walk all the way back to the castle with the reserve, but rather they thought about an excuse to not make me walk. Grandpa Bean gets mad because his Chocola isn't strong enough for the both of us, so he just threw us into the river that just so happened to flow through the castle. We feed the bean the cola and she turned back to normal. Now since the Queen is back to normal, she can tell us what Peach has to do with the Bean Star. We already know that the Bean Star is basically the second Triforce, but we don't know what Peach has to do with it. Well, to actually make use of the Bean Star, A pure and innocent voice has to talk to it. And this is where the beginning comes into play again. The only innocent and pure voice on the planet is Princess Peach's voice. That is why her voice was stolen by Cacletta. After this history lesson, we meet Prince Peasley again. He informs us about the whereabouts of Cacletta. She is trying to awaken the Beanstar in Woohoo University at the southeast of the map. When you get there, a bunch of fleeing scientists and students told us that Cacletta and Popple turned everyone into monsters. So everyone who attacks us here is actually a human with a life. Maybe even a family. Multi-damage. No. Just two. Apart from the puzzle you have to solve here, there are a bunch of very cool Easter eggs, the experimental blocks and the viruses to be exact. The puzzle was also surprisingly challenging. When finally solving everything, we get to Popple and Cacletta, just in time for the awakening of the Beanstar, for which they are using some Siri version they made with Princess Peach's voice. The awakening goes wrong for reasons that we will get into later. Now it's time to beat Popple again. That was fast, so now it's time to kill Cacletta, and holy shit, she's strong. This is one of the most interesting boss fights in the game. She got a ton of attacks and all of them are very dangerous. I didn't lie when I said kill. After Prince Peasley arrives, he tells us that he will tell us the reason for the failed Beanstar awakening after we safely recover it. We make our way to the basement and after some more puzzles we arrive at some sort of bunker. We meet an old friend again. Our dear, very competent friend Popple was there before us and found the Beanstar. After we respectfully push the Beanstar to the side, we can begin our fight. After we defeat them, one of the Peach Cortanas falls down and talks again. The Beanstar is about to take off and we all try to grab it before we all fly sky high. Bowser is the last one to fall off and in the last moment he remembers everything. After he falls off too, the Beanstar breaks into 4 pieces that we will have to recover. Mario and Luigi stand on some deserted island. On this island there are some weird creatures that have a collective amount of brain cells that is no higher than the number 34. It has been 3 weeks since our research expedition arrived here. Time it speeds by. Today we made a most surprising discovery. We approached the red OHG and happened to ignite it in a bizarre accident. The moment this red OHG was touched by the flames, it turned into a monster. This monster OHG attacked us as might any creature that dislikes being set on fire. Unfortunately, the researcher who was attacked then transformed into an OHG. We must conclude that it is best not to approach an OHG if one plans to set it afire. Rather, it is better to stand a short distance away and then set it afire, if one wishes. Surely the blue OHG will respond to some stimuli and also transform into monsters. It may invite trouble, but clearly must be researched more. Science demands it. Alright, so basically we are torturing the natives and we're torturing the natives for no apparent reason, except that we feel like it. But we do learn something here, not from the natives, but in 2 temples that are here on the island. We get the elemental skills here. We can also use those on the terrain. Luigi learns the Thunder Hand and Mario learns the Fire Hand. Using these new skills we can get off the island. The way out, however, is through a new underwater section. It makes use of the new Terra skills, but other than that I hate that section. The enemies are annoying, most attacks don't work because enemies swim in the air, and since it's underwater you only move very slowly. At least the Fire and Thunder puzzles were okay. When we finally get out of that section, we see what happened to Popple, Cacletta and Bowser after the events of Woohoo University. Bowser is lying completely beaten on the Stardust Fields, where we started the game. Popple, also completely beaten, has carried Cacletta's soul to the Stardust Fields and given Cacletta's soul a new body. Bowser's body. We get out of a pipe at the beach and are immediately informed by Prince Peasley that Princess Peach will be visiting the Bean Kingdom. We should immediately make our way to the airport. On the actual runway, we find out that piranha plants have grown all over the runway. It is our job to get rid of those plants. After we deal with that, the plane carrying the princess can finally land. When we finally meet the princess again, she's about to talk and cause another tragedy. But it is at this point that we find out her voice was never stolen. Prince Peasley has been talking about a secret mission for the whole game now. That secret mission was to inform the princess about Cacletta's attack before she gets to steal the voice of Princess Peach. Princess Peach never had a voice stolen, but the imposter Princess Peach, which was Birdo. The reason that Princess Peach didn't tell us was because she didn't trust Bowser for obvious reasons, and he arrived before us at the castle. This was all carefully planned out by Queen Bean. Next up, Prince Peasley wants to find out where the pieces of the Beanstar are. So while he does that, Princess Peach suggests that we might as well visit the place called Little Fungy Town. That is a town in the Bean Kingdom that is inhabited by immigrated toads. On the way, she has a tendency to get kidnapped whenever she gets off screen, which is really annoying but also is a new and creative way for us to solve puzzles. When you finally reach Little Fungy Town, you are basically forced to play a short minigame. The prize is an exclusive mushroom which Mario instantly eats. Yum, isn't it delicious? Because Mario isn't used to Bean Kingdom's cuisine, he got sick, turned green and will turn into a bean if we, or well Luigi at this point, cannot get a special herb called Krabby Grass. This is all just an excuse for Cacletta to kidnap Peach, but she doesn't call herself Cacletta anymore, she calls herself Bowletta, which is a huge ripoff of Bowsette. Excuse me, Bowser? Oh, I think you're sorely mistaken. I'm Bowletta. It's Bowsette 1.0. It's the original Bowsette. Oh my god. When Mario is healed, we find ourselves back in the Bean Castle. Bowletta has sent us a message where she claims that she will release Princess Peach if we collect and assemble the Beanstar for her. Prince Peasley, who has now found out where the pieces have landed, gives us a map where these pieces are and bets that he will find all the pieces before we do. The first piece is in the desert. It is the only piece that the game outright tells you to get first. You find it on a stranded pirate ship. The crew found the piece, took it in, and now you have to join the crew to get your hands back on it. When you finally got the piece and consequently sank the entire ship a second time, we are back in my favorite section of the game, underwater. The piece now stranded again on a new island. On here we get to upgrade our hand abilities by the massage ladies. These abilities are speed and moving backwards. Now we can finally solve puzzles we've been seeing since the beginning of the game. After solving the puzzles on the island, which just saying are some of the best parts in the game, you get a piece back and are now free to get any of the other pieces in any order you want. The next one I started getting is the Yoshi piece. A citizen of the Bean Kingdom opened a theater that is Yoshi themed. He found the piece and is using it for decoration. He will give us the piece if we can replace the decoration, but he doesn't want just anything, he wants neon Yoshi eggs. There are a few hungry Yoshis present in this theater. If we feed them a special bean fruit, they will lay a glowing egg that we can keep. Luckily, I already found a few of these fruits while exploring. While collecting the other fruits, I sidetracked a bit and got another Beanstar piece while I was at it. For that one, I had to make some clothes for this mad lady. The minigame is quite short, but after making some clothes, she gives us the piece. Then I went back to get the piece at the Yoshi Theater, and with that I already got 3 of the 4 pieces. The last piece is in the forest, behind the path that was blocked before. Back there we simply have to win another minigame in order to get the piece, just like the close one. Then we have to defeat Popple again and the piece is ours. After getting back to the Bean Castle, we are ordered to bring the Beanstar to Choke's End. But don't worry, Prince Peasley hands us over a fake Beanstar that we are supposed to give them. Choke's End is kind of the Champions Road version of the game. Enemies are suddenly way harder, the puzzles are still okay though, however I did get my first game over here. Oh no. Oh, that's bad. Yep, that's the first game over. In the first part of this area, you only have to worry about the enemies in your way, but in the second part of this area, which is one of the best parts in the entire game, you have to split Mario and Luigi up and complete different challenges and kill the same enemies with only one of them. This limits your attacks, but it also makes for a really interesting section. After that you only have to do a short boss fight against this bitch and then you already meet Popple and Cacletta again. Then you're about to hand over the fake Beanstar and of course they didn't fall for it. Then they took the real Beanstar. Before they could fuck off however, Mario had the brilliant idea to dress up Luigi as the princess and switch him out with Peach. That way the Beanstar would be useless again. strongest cockroach. Ah, okay. Popple. Did you see that? Yes, mustache. Popple, yes. Pirate will. Now it's time for one of the best parts in the game, the final fight against Popple. I hate Popple and I'm glad I never have to see him again. Now it's time for the final part of the game. Paoletta said, fuck it, I'ma do it myself. Since she already has control over Bowser's body, she just fucks off into the Mushroom Kingdom, grabs Bowser's castle, which can fly by the way, and attack the Bean Kingdom again. The final part of the game is in the Bowser castle. You say you know how to get from Bowser's room to the bathroom? What an odd thing to say. In there we have to face off against the Koopalings. Every Koopaling has a specific pattern in which they attack. You have to counter the pattern and defeat them like that. When you do it like that, they're pretty easy. Same goes for the final fight against Popple. The sequence in the end is a bit dragged out though. Now it's time for the final boss fight. I had no idea what would expect me in this fight. Not gonna lie though, I was kinda disappointed. Or should I say, I would have been. I knew that there are two phases. After the first phase, Cacletta reveals that a time bomb has been waiting to kill us. After it does, she sucks us up. Inside of Bowser, we find Cacletta's soul. If we defeat her here, it is all over. The most unique thing about this fight is that both Mario and Luigi only have 1 HP, and Cacletta's soul has dibs on the first attack. You need to survive the first attack if you want to continue the fight. If you take just 1 piece of damage during the first attack, then it's over. You have to restart the fight from the beginning. I think that this is a genius thing to do, but that doesn't mean only surviving the first attack is hard. This fight is hard as shit. No. I hate this attack. I didn't jump there. No. No, don't kill me. No! I've been at this fight for 20 minutes. 20 fucking minutes. But like everything, this game also has to end. After a really long fight, we finally finish it. Prince Peasley rushes to us to tell us that he has rigged the entire castle. After that, we have a limited time to escape before everything blows up. That is where this game ends. We tell goodbye to the Bean Kingdom, except one last gift from Prince Peasley, which turns out to be Bowser, and the credits roll. This game holds up today way better than it has any right to be. It's filled with over 20 hours of content, has a ton of references, fun fights, and the minigames are all super creative. For example, did you notice that the silhouettes of the Mario and Luigi poster in the Yoshi Theater are the same ones that were used in the third installment of the game, Bowser's Inside Story? Hold on a second. This poster of Mario and Luigi, the movie, it looks exactly like... Hold on, I need to check this first. I was right. That's the same silhouettes they used for Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Hold on, I gotta show you this. Hold on. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Here. Look at this. These are the same silhouette. Well, it's down here. These here. Look at this, these are the same! I can't really call this a reference, nor can I call it foreshadowing, but it still adds to the game nonetheless as a reference. The only thing that I do not like is that most enemies do only have 1 or 2 different attacks, and they wear out rather fast. But that may also be a limitation of the Game Boy Advance. The music fits this game really well and manages to sound distinct for every single area. The side missions and side tracking you have to do may be tedious for some people, but seeing that the people of the Bean Kingdom have actual lives and occupations only adds to the world building as well. It's amazing to see that not everyone is an NPC or a shop owner with dialogue that amounts to roughly nothing. The backtracking is done in a great way by showing you where you will return later in the game, the very first time you are in that area. You can even start certain side missions before you actually start them, as I did with collecting the bean fruits. The only reason you can do this is because the entire world is completely open. You can go everywhere that your abilities allow you to go, even if the enemies might be really strong when you first get there. I believe that modern RPG games should take note from what this game did all the way back in 2003. Looking at you, Paper Jam Bros. Modern Pokemon games. Alright, now you might remember me telling you that I bought a bunch of these games. Most of them were DS games that I just had to resell when I was a kid or that I never got onto. Mario Luigi Superstar Saga, it's a GBA game. I don't have the packaging for this anymore. I bought this from a French-speaking Western Swiss reseller. And GBA games came in a cardboard box, not in a plastic shell like they do today. Well, luckily though, every DS case came with a special place simply for GBA games, only for them to put into, and there is only one game that is worthy of keeping this game aside from itself in its case. But that is a story for another time.